The relationship between the Queen and former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was complicated. Elizabeth did not agree with Thatcher's political policies, according to the Queen's press secretary, branding them socially unjust. Two women of a similar age but very dissimilar backgrounds were forced together during the most confrontational years of post-war politics. In royal documentary, The Queen and Her Prime Ministers, the narrator reveals Margaret and Elizabeth's relationship to be awkward at times. Royal expert Judy Wade describes a time when Margaret desperately wanted to find out what the Queen was wearing to an event they were both attending. Thatcher apparently rang up the palace one day to say that she was going to a big dinner that night and the Queen would be at, and she wanted to know what color the Queen was wearing so that she wouldn't clash with the Queen. This sparked a response from Her Majesty, which further insinuates their relationship was complicated. And back came the reply from the Queen, "Don't worry, the Queen never notices what other women are wearing." Margaret was extremely respectful of the monarchy, and was always a little too punctual when it came to her weekly audience with the Queen, according to Bernard Ingham, Thatcher's former chief press secretary. The relationship between the Queen and former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was complicated. Image, Getty. The narrator says, whenever she goes to see the Queen, Thatcher always arrived a quarter of an hour too early for her weekly audience, and every week the Queen lets her wait for 15 minutes. Michael Cockrell claims, "In the end I think they did get on, and I think Mrs. Thatcher came to value the advice that the Queen gave her." Royal biographer Hugo Vickers said, "The Queen was very upset by the way in which Mrs. Thatcher was disposed by the Conservative Party, and she told somebody that, all right, Mrs. Thatcher may have been tired and things, but it was a horrible way that it was done." Bernard Ingham explains how quickly the Queen honoured Margaret after she had resigned, with first of all the Order of Merit and then the Lady of the Garter.